We're here today to talk about extended reality. It's referred to as XR in the medical device and pharmaceutical manufacturing space, specifically with the HoloLens 2 from Microsoft. The agenda for today's call, we'll be doing introductions. We are SphereGen Technologies, and we're joined by our partner Microsoft. On the Microsoft mixed reality side, we have Ellen Hiskin, as well as Adrian Michaels. And from SphereGen, we have Anthony Papano, myself, Chris Rose, as well as Andrew Glagliardo. We're going to begin with an overview of who SphereGen is as a company and a Microsoft partner. I'm then going to hand it over to our friends at Microsoft to discuss remote assist, guides, and the HoloLens 2. We're then going to jump into live demonstrations of remote assist, followed by questions and answers, a demonstration of guides in the HoloLens, as well as a demonstration of some custom applications that we've created for the HoloLens 2. We'll wrap this session with what we hope to be a dynamic and engaging piece of question and answers. Follow up any questions that are in the chat. So thank you for joining us. About who we are as a Microsoft partner. We are SphereGen Technologies. We are a Microsoft mixed reality partner. We're the first in New England in that respect. We were founded in 2008, and we maintain clients in North America, Europe, the Caribbean, and Asia. We have offices in the United States, India, Zurich, Switzerland, as well as Ireland. We maintain an emphasis on diversity and inclusion, which we are proud to be nominated for a Partner of the Year nomination by Microsoft in that respect. We have a specialization in the medical device manufacturing and pharmaceutical manufacturing industries, as well as the healthcare provider space. We do utilize agile methodology in our software development, and you will see that we're experienced in cloud development, and we run some of our own commercial products in the cloud. When thinking of SphereGen, we've thought of the three main offerings. We are a Microsoft mixed reality partner. We're also a gold partner when it comes to application development. We're here to talk about HoloLens and mixed reality. We also have development practices for augmented and virtual reality. We maintain an application modernization practice with focus on things like medical application development, cloud conversions of apps, and robotic process automation. We also have a legacy support practice as well. About our journey with the HoloLens 2 and mixed reality, we're going to talk about remote assist and what we've been able to do in the provider space with HoloLens and doing cross-continental surgeries with mixed reality, as well as what we've been able to do in the medical device and pharma space when it comes to remote assistance to break fix pieces of equipment. We've implemented guides in healthcare and manufacturing to help train employees and skill up. We've explored and implemented diversity and inclusion experiences that are immersive to help bring employees into the next century and be able to be more diverse and inclusive in their workplace. We're also going to touch on custom applications. As we mentioned, we do have our own products we've created and hosted, one of which is called IntraVision XR, which allows the users to take CT and MRI scans and convert them into 3D models that are anatomically correct and can be viewed in the HoloLens 2. Lastly, we have patented the world's first holographic eye exam, which can be used on a HoloLens. And this is using refraction testing, the eye tracking piece of the HoloLens. Now I'm going to hand it over to Ellen to let her introduce the mixed reality side of things from Microsoft.
Thank you, Chris. So hi, everyone. My name is Ellen Hiskin. I am a mixed reality specialist with Microsoft, supporting our North American enterprise customers, but predominantly working in our health and life sciences space. Chris and the team had asked me and Adrian to come and jump in to talk about HoloLens, remote assist, and guides in its kind of basic form. But I think the best part of the presentation today will really be seeing it in action through the demos. But Adrian, if you want to quickly introduce yourself before we jump right in.
Absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity to speak here on behalf of Microsoft. I'm on Ellen's team as a technical specialist covering the healthcare customers in the US.
All right. Thank you, Adrian. So I'm going to turn my video off just for sake of saving bandwidth so I can get through the presentation. But thank you, Chris, for driving the slides for me here. So to kind of immediately kicking things off, I think we can all really agree that cloud computing is the biggest secular trend in technology of the last decade. But cloud computing has fundamentally changed the way that we build, deploy, and maintain this technology innovation. But it's the underpinning for every company or org to really become a technology company. And while the cloud has unlocked these new innovations, it's really, though, the ultra low latency edge computing coupled with AI and truly mixed reality that is becoming the foundation for the next generation of experiences. So in 2017, in his book, Hit Refresh, Satya Nadella spoke about three transformational technologies that Microsoft is really making a very large bet on, whether it's artificial intelligence, quantum computing, but also it is important for today, mixed reality. So MR really lets us change the way that we compute. But as the selection of these devices and the services available to everyone, especially in the audience, grows, it helps us to really redefine the boundaries of what is possible. So when we refer to mixed reality, we are referring to the blending of the physical and digital worlds. So it's more a spectrum of sorts between augmented reality and virtual reality. You also see the different devices that make it possible across this spectrum. But in mixed reality, users are interacting with these 3D digital objects while they're able to maintain their presence in the physical world. So you're truly bringing the digital world into your physical space. So at the heart of our Microsoft mixed reality efforts is the HoloLens, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with, but we'll do a quick review just to highlight the key components for what value this specific device can drive. So it began shipping about a year and a half ago, or almost 2 years ago, over 2 years ago now, actually. And we're really proud to say that it's setting the high watermark for mixed reality and intelligent edge devices. So with HoloLens 2, we invented an industry-defining MEMS display. And kind of in short order, these are the smallest and most power efficient 2K display in existence today. So it's as if you're walking around the world with a 4K television set on your head. But we haven't only focused on image quality. With HoloLens 2, we more than doubled the field of view to create a much more immersive and engaging experience. But it really, what's important to call out is that the HoloLens 2 adapts to you. So it adapts to your hands and goes really beyond those gestures to give you that real satisfaction and really the direct manipulation to let you experience what it feels like to finally touch a hologram. But to top it off, HL2 is now also understands precisely where you're looking, but enabling us to do things like understanding your intent, but adapting the holograms in real time to your eyes. So from soldiers to really surgeons or people on the manufacturing line, you name it, HoloLens 2 really lets these users interact with the real and digital worlds using only their eyes. So to sum it up, HoloLens 2 is kind of what we're considering the most comfortable and immersive mixed reality experience available to you. But it's an edge device in the end. And what really is important to call out is that it is backed by the largest ecosystem of first and third party mixed reality solutions, as shown by our partnership with SphereGen. But what's important, especially to the folks on the call, it's the reliability, security, and scalability of cloud and AI services from Azure and the like that are able to protect you and enable your work through this device specifically. So just quickly breeze through this, we want to showcase that there are many versions, a couple different versions to the HoloLens 2. This group, though, most importantly, will care about what we're calling the HoloLens 2 Industrial Edition or the standard HoloLens 2. So as part of listening and trying to continue learning, Microsoft has heard a very strong demand for HoloLens 2 to operate in environments that have much more rigorous requirements or are regulated by very specific industry certifications. So in the semiconductor, but importantly today for the pharmaceutical industries or so, partners require a device that really meets particle emission standards to enter and operate in these highly controlled clean room environments. So really, in short form, the HoloLens 2 Industrial Edition is designed, built, and tested to support clean room and intrinsically safe environments. So I won't get into all of these specifics here, but this is something where if there are questions to dig in deeper and see if it meets your specific requirements and your specific environments, we could have further on discussion. But I think for the call today, not only to talk about HoloLens, but it's really to talk about two of the first, but also integration with folks like SphereGen, first-party applications from the Microsoft side, Remote Assist and Guides. So we're able to, with these two applications that are part of the Dynamics 365 platform, begin extracting value on day one with these business-ready solutions. So Microsoft and in turn SphereGen, we offer these two MR Enterprise applications that customers like yourselves can really deploy on day one to optimize these operations and increase employee productivity. So really quick, and before I dig into a little more detail, before we get into the demo, Remote Assist is the D365 MR application that it really empowers users to collaborate more efficiently by working better together from various locations. So RA works on HoloLens, Android, and iOS devices specific to call out, even though we mostly are talking about the HoloLens applicability today. But then Guides is our other sister applications to Remote Assist that enhances learning and standardizes processes with very specific step-by-step holographic work instruction. But really what it's doing is showing employees how to use their tools, get through training, work through the SOPs and real work situations with holographic hands-free instruction. But a little bit more on Remote Assist before we have Anthony jump into the demo. So RA enables individuals to collaborate remotely. Consider it more that see what I see type capability, where the person with the HoloLens or the mobile device, but for today, most importantly, the HoloLens, is able to share the view of what they're looking at, their task at hand, the audit process they're going through with someone that sits on the other side of the collaboration experience via the desktop with Teams. So in all, they're really allowing this collaboration to happen remotely by, again, sharing that real time with their collaborators to get that immediate help that they need, where they're solving issues faster, reducing costs, but really increasing efficiency with that heads-up, hands-free experience. So technicians, or whomever you want to call them, individuals, they need to have that information right in front of them sometimes at the time of, say, an inspection or a maintenance procedure. But they can also benefit from being hands-free or on a mobile device, because RA enables technicians to resolve these issues quickly. Not only do they have the expertise over the shoulder capability with remote, but they also have remote access to documentation and work order information kind of in that real world environment. But kind of before we hand it off for the demo, it's sometimes that one-on-one calling isn't really enough to address the issue. Sometimes you want others to maybe observe or just assist in general while you're working. So RA enables individuals to, again, reduce those costs of these routine inspections by combining video, screenshots, holographic annotations. But you're able to also use this data captured through Remote Assist to streamline workflows and processes to empower your employees. So Anthony, I think I'll stop talking about the content on the slide. If you want to just jump into the demo, that would be great.
Yeah, certainly appreciate that, Ellen. So before we jump into the live feed of the Remote Assist call, I'd love to share a video example that we did with Microsoft for a client in the provider space, would be Mount Sinai in New York. We helped them implement Remote Assist to be able to perform cross-continental surgeries to add subject matter guidance in those efforts. So while it's not a medical device per se or a piece of machinery, we are using this technology to benefit people in the actual theater. Here's an example of that, and then afterwards we will go to a live feed through the headset.
Good morning, Dr. Marin.
Hi, Joseph. What do you have today?
We have a 4-year-old girl.
Shared surgical knowledge is the basis behind our program. It begins with a long-standing mission at Mount Sinai to provide global surgical health to places around the world which are underserved. The Tribirwa Surgical Center in the eastern region of Uganda is a sustainable program that we can provide affordable, safe surgery to everyone.
We wanted to get rid of the thought that surgery is very expensive and can only be afforded by the rich.
So our goal has been to look at these two questions of too expensive and too complicated and find solutions. It is unlikely to be solved by exporting or importing surgeons into regions of need, but finding more efficient ways to use technology to share surgical knowledge. Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 have been game changers as it relates to being able to share ideas and technology around the world.
We've been able to start practicing telesurgery, where I can invite the assistance of an expert from any part of the world.
The Dynamics 365 with Remote Assist, coupled with the HoloLens technology, allows us to have surgeons operating with Uganda completely connected with surgeons here in Mount Sinai.
Through this HoloLens, Dr. Marin is able to have a real-time view of 7,000 miles away.
Our Teams connection provides us with an enormously interactive capability. I'm not just looking at the pictures. I can interact with those images and that video Between 65 and 70% of surgery that's done throughout the world can be done in a facility like this. This young girl who comes in with a significant problem that isn't commonly encountered in this community is something we see here at Mount Sinai multiple times on a weekly basis. What was your plan in terms of incisions?
So my initial plan was to make an elliptical incision.
Sometimes it's actually helpful to do a circular incision. I'm just going to trace out for you what I'm thinking.
It was so clear now how I would have approached it would not have offered me the advantage.
Their nurses, their anesthesiologists, their surgeons all get confident, get capable of doing things. So the ability to evolve in the technology allows us to really begin to think about sharing surgery in a whole new way. I readily see how we're going to begin to integrate this into our residency and surgical training programs in this institution, where we can begin to advance independent surgical skills with our surgical trainees on a more rapid basis. This will form a very important part of the next generation of education of surgeons. The HoloLens 2, equipped with Dynamic 365 Remote Assist, is just the beginning. We've gone on to treat over 400 patients and diagnose, manage over 3,000 patients.
We have had 100% success rates. We've not had any fatality here. I would attribute this technology that we are using.
The ability to do something that can be scaled much farther beyond an individual's technical skills and take it from one person to 1,000 people is one of the most exciting things I've experienced in my professional life.
So that was a great example of how we're able to implement that for Mount Sinai, but let's jump into utilizing remote assist and HoloLens during a live remote assist call to break fix a piece of machinery. We're going to transfer over to the view through the HoloLens, which Anthony Papano is wearing, my colleague. I myself will be acting as subject matter expert, guiding him through the break fix for this particular piece of equipment. Hello, Anthony, can you hear me?
Hey there, Chris. Yeah, I can hear you. I appreciate you getting in touch with me here. I seem to be having some trouble with the Sonatech machine. I came in this morning, the reset button or the emergency stop button was pushed in. So I pulled it out, but I can't get it started. Can you tell me what's going on?
You know, I think I can get you through this one. We've run into it before, so I appreciate you giving me a ring. I'm glad I was here. I can hear you perfectly. What I have done is shared over a PDF file and the SOP for this piece of machinery, the standard operating procedures. So in the future, if you can't reach me, you'll have this PDF to reference. It'll be saved in the chat. But since
Sure.
I am on this call, oh, there it is. Yeah,
I'm just going to move it over here so it's out of my vision a little bit, if that's all right.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you. So if we look back at the machine, the Sonatech, please. You want to look down at the base of the Sonatech and make sure that that emergency stop knob is in the correct position. If you look down a little further.
Yep.
There we go.
So I've got it. I have it pulled out right now.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, if we look below the table, there should be an air compressor.
Yep, right here.
Yeah, if we go down there, there's a lever with a red top. I'll do my best to circle where it should be for you. That lever will be right about here. We're going to make sure we can flip that backwards.
Okay. Yep, it is backwards.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to remove that annotation. And now, if you could pay attention to this gauge, and please make sure that we're above 60 psi.
Yep, looks like it's above 60 psi. That's perfect.
Excellent. I'm going to remove that arrow as well. So now if we go back up to the Sonatech, please. Excellent. I'd like to show you on this LCD screen that you need to hit this reset button, which is not very well called out. It's part of the LCD.
I didn't realize that was a touch screen.
It is. So now, yep, that reset button. Awesome. So we're in the green. I would like to call out here that we're at 180 degrees operating temperature, which we know is right within the threshold for optimal performance. If we could please look to the right of the machine. So we see those two valves there, one with a red top, one with a black top.
Yep.
Yeah, if you would please rotate the one with the red top 180 degrees counterclockwise.
Okay. All
Excellent.
right. Just heard the pump kick on.
Yep, excellent. So if we look down, please, at the base of the Sonatech again.
Okay.
Excellent. I'd like to call out that, you want to make sure that you're going to be manipulating both of these knobs at the same exact time.
Right. Okay. And I should be able to start it up right now, right?
Excellent. Looks
There
like we're
we
back in
go.
operation. I'm going to remove those annotations. So looks like you're back online, Anthony. I'm glad we could resolve that quickly. Again, if you can't reach me in the future, you run into issues, please, refer to that standard operating procedure, which I shared, and I look forward to chatting with you here in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thank you. Excuse me. So there we saw an example of a live remote assist call. Hopefully you're able to see all the annotations and the documents I was able to share with Anthony, as well as get visual, allowing him to be hands-free, but also providing with not only verbal cues, but mixed reality annotations, arrows, and the drawing feature, for example. Do we have questions that we can answer for anybody on remote assist?
I just want to point out here that everybody on this call saw the annotations bar. So if we would have interacted with Anthony, everybody would be able to do annotations. So that gives you the possibility not having just one expert on the call, but multiple experts.
That's a great point, Adrian. And also like to call out that all of the guidance I'm providing to Anthony is being done through Teams. I'm not running any other application on my personal laptop. I'm utilizing the Teams interface. So,
especially what we see with customers before we're going on, I'm sorry, is that the call dashboard. So there is a possibility that how many calls are established, where does the call come from, how many miles potentially are between the caller and the expert. Our customers are really taking advantage of these kind of data because they're coming in through Teams as telemetry and making sure that they are done in a dashboard and visualized in the correct way. There is a good question, Chris. How many SMEs can join in any one call? So from my point of view, I have seen, and this is not a limit, but I have seen up to 50 HoloLenses in one call. And I have seen on a normal Teams call with HoloLens where the SME is, I have seen up to, I think, 120, but that is not a limit of Teams or the HoloLens.
okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions we can touch on right now? Of course, we will regroup at the end of this for a broader audience question and answer.
There's one question. How long would you say it takes to get a healthcare employee comfortable using a HoloLens device? I'll leave that to you.
In our experiences, it really depends on who the employees are that we're working with and where they are with technology. Obviously, some people are quicker to pick this up than others, but in the most sense, I myself had no technical background in using mixed reality or the HoloLens. But in the programs that we've been working to implement with providers, typically 5 sessions of working with our SME, and we usually do groups of maximum about 5 people. But 5 sessions, usually about 4 hours long, working with them to get familiar with the headset, get familiar with how the hardware operates, how the software operates as well, is a typical example of how we see people be able to pick it up. Now, to go on and do things further, like bring in custom applications or utilize remote assist in conjunction with other apps, that can take further training.
There's another great question on the chat. Are we able to share other file types rather than PDFs or JPEGs? We have seen Word documents being shared. We also have seen 3D content being shared. So that question was specifically to 3D drawings, for example. Any other comments, Ellen?
No, I think you summed it up nicely. You're able to, most importantly, take kind of really any of the file types listed and be able to reference it in different ways. I think the biggest value to take from that, though, is that you're not spending the time kind of leaving the application, going and searching for the document, reviewing it, and then coming back on a separate call with the expert or the person providing the assistance. So it really speeds up that overall process. So you can kind of get to your end goal faster. But what I'll do in the chat is I'll also provide a link back to our Microsoft documentation that kind of sums up all the file types and how to integrate them into the product, et cetera. So yeah, any other questions?
So I think we covered the 3D rendered object. What I want to highlight as well is these are the file types, and we have the documentation about it. Definitely. Does HoloLens provide depth information to different surfaces within the view? Chris or
Andrew, do you have anything to contribute on that one? That is what I'll put on you.
Sure, I was just typing a response at the moment. So the HoloLens is capable of pinging and getting depth information from inside the headset, and that can be done with a custom application. And the device itself is also aware of its physical environment through its spatial mapping. However, inside of remote assists, that functionality isn't kind of exposed, and so it would be a kind of a custom app where you could pull that information if you wanted to expose it. And then while I'm here, I might as well refer to Tracy's question as well. So these devices may get a little warm. However, they are, very carefully controlled, and they will not overheat to the point where they are uncomfortable, and they will actually shut down or start throttling themselves ahead of this. And as far as causing motion sickness, that is an issue that we see primarily with virtual reality devices where you are completely enclosed in the virtual environment. Because inside the HoloLens, you can still see your physical environment around you. You do not get the same level of motion sickness. And in fact, we haven't had anybody report motion sickness. And the reason for that is because you're still grounded in the physical world, and there's no disagreement happening between your inner ear and your eyes because you can still see your physical environment around you.
And especially on glass wearers. So I am a glass wearer, so I just put on my HoloLens. I do not need to put down my glasses because I have enough space with a visor up or down that I can still wear my glasses.
I think you not only can still wear your glasses, but since this is mixed reality again to the VR versus AR, but really this in its essence is mixed reality, you're able to continue the work that you're doing with glasses on, with not. But if you're performing or working through the RA call and then you complete something or need to not have that visor, kind of the view in front of you, the screen, you can lift that up as Adrian spoke to, and then not have the mixed reality components in front of you. Pull it back down quickly over your glasses or not and get right back into the call, or as we'll show the guided work instruction in just a few minutes.
Can the system be used for accept, reject visual inspection, example, during a manufacturing process? And we have customers that are doing that exactly so that they have the possibility either using remote assist to say, I have done something, can you have a look at that? Or even we have a proof of concepts running. We're doing auditing processes in that space. So both of that is possible, but I think with the next demo, which we will share, we also can think about Dynamics 365 guides being used in this kind of process.
Great. So I'm going to transition over to guides. And of course, if we have further conversation around remote assist, we can address that at the end.
Thank you.
So stemming off of what Adrian just touched on, another product from Microsoft, from the Dynamics 365 suite, would be the step-by-step holographic instructions, which can be done but with guides. So with guides, you're able to be there right where the work happens, enabling employees to learn and execute complex tasks in context. You're able to be heads up and hands free. So as we've seen already, using the headset as a wearable allows people to use their hands while they're gaining instruction. It's easy to use right out of the box. Because authoring guides does not require coding or 3D skills, it's very similar, for anybody who hasn't been in front of it, to PowerPoint. So creating content for guides is fairly straightforward and does not require in-depth coding. It is connected to your business data so that your physical work and your digital work stay in tune. And to dive a little bit deeper on that, we can talk about how we maximize operational effectiveness with data-driven insights with guides. So we're able to capture data on the back end. In the live demo, you see my colleague is able to use guides to learn how to operate a piece of equipment. Let's say it was myself using it afterwards. We were able to collect the data and see how long it took me versus how long it took them. So you're able to leverage this performance data in real time through Power BI dashboards. And you can gain those insights to correctly manage and maintain assets based on checklists and historical reports or usage to extend equipment productivity. This also allows you to respond quickly to supply chain management, and thus allows you to drive more efficient workflows using D365 field service. Here's an example of guides. I want to make sure we have some audio here.
Spirigen Technologies here from New Haven, Connecticut to demonstrate a guide created for the Microsoft HoloLens 2 using the guides program from the Dynamics 365 suite offered by Microsoft.
Apologies.
Here we're going to be performing training and learning on this piece of equipment, which is a tonometer, and using the mixed reality guide and the headset allows me to be hands-free, use verbal cues or visual cues, which you'll notice in the center of our vision, we have a white dot that is much like the cursor on a mouse and how I'll be navigating this guide. It should be noted that as I move around to operate this guide, the screen will follow me. So it's always in my field of view. I do have the option to pin this screen, which I am going to do. At this point, the screen will not move from this space until I unpin it. We're being asked to find the anchor and select confirm. So here we have a QR code we're going to use as an anchor point for this guide. We are going to confirm. It should be noted that if this piece of paper, this anchor point, were to be put on the same exact piece of equipment anywhere in the world, this guide would be able to operate exactly as you're seeing now. Step 1. This is a guide for the Recurt non-contact tonometry device. The device you will be working on with is shown to the left. Some visual confirmation in this image that we are working on the correct piece of equipment. This can be a video as well. Step 2, tonometry is a diagnostic test to measure the pressure inside of a patient's eye, which can help determine the risk of glaucoma. Getting some visual information here versus normal vision and glaucoma. This guide provides 2 paths for you to explore and learn. We can pick which path we want to learn. In this case, we have device components or device operation, and I'm going to be selecting device operation. To measure the interocular pressure, IOP, with a non-contact tonometer, start by making sure the device is plugged in, then depress the on and demonstrate switches. Following the daisy chain here, we'll be able to see a mixed reality hand pointing exactly where we need to switch the on switch. We also have 2 arrows showing us exactly which buttons we need to operate. That step is done. Step 2, we're going to adjust the eyepiece until the ring reticle is in focus. If you notice here, we'll be shown which way we can adjust. Excellent. You'll ask your patient to place their index finger about 1/2 inch in front of the objective. Then you should explain that a puff of air is used to measure the pressure in their eye and that you are going to use their finger to demonstrate. Here we have another mixed reality hand showing me exactly where I would want to show the patient where that puff of air might come. Trigger the instrument to demonstrate the air pulse intensity on the patient's finger. As part of this process, the calibration of the instrument can also be checked. The digital read should be in the range of 49 to 51. So now we know that this button will produce the puff of air. We can go over here. This is where the puff of air is going to come out. And we want to be cognizant of this screen here, which if this was an actual live operation should be between 49 and 51. For demonstration purposes, we're fine at 65. Now I can press that button. Excellent. Move to the side of the instrument so you can see the patient in profile. Explain to the patient that their forehead needs to rest on the pad shown. Moving to the side. Now we have a holographic representation of the patient's head. We should see where their gaze should be going, and we're going to have to alert them that we want their chin to rest on this cup here. Use the adjustment knob to adjust the chin rest for the patient so that they can rest their chin comfortably. Here I'm being directed to where the adjustment knob might be, so we know we need to take this and raise it to the level for the patient. Use the adjustment knob on the instrument head to move the objective vertically until it's at the same level as the patient's eyes. Shown here that if I twist this knob, we should be able to raise this to the right level for this patient's eyes.
So I'm going to pause this video here and transfer over into the headset so we can see guides live and give you an idea of what Anthony would be seeing through his headset.
There we go. Thank you very much, Chris. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we got you now. So the attendees now have just seen a quick video of the guide operation for the tonometer. Now that we have a live video feed with the Sonatech, would you please share, some of the instructions you're being given about operating?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a guide on how to set up and use the Sonatech equipment, which we just saw in the remote assist demo. So it's going to teach us kind of how to operate that. So this equipment we're working with should match the image to the left. So we've created this guide basically to match us, just as you would with some of your equipment that you might have. So I'm going to confirm by following this dotted line over here. And as you can see, I'm completely hands-free, so I'm completely able to operate with my hands. But you will see that it's alerting me right to this device to confirm that it is the device that's shown up over here. All I do is gaze to the arrow, and it's going to move about, showing me that it's going on to the next step. So before setting everything up, it's important that you note the location of the emergency stop button. If at any time you need the stop button, you need to stop the machine, push this button. It's alerting me to look down right here, and it's showing me exactly where this button is. So this button, we already have it pulled out. We do not need to push it in. So we're going to go to the next step. I went one ahead. There we go. To reset the machine after engaging the emergency stop, pull the button out, which we have done. You will see a reset button on the touch display, which you can press to bring the machine back to normal operation. And here we have a 3D image showing us exactly where that hand is and where that placement is. Now, during the remote assist process, you see that I did not know exactly that this was a touchscreen device. If I had followed this guide, I would have known that this was a touchscreen device, and I could press right here to reset it. This is the active operation area for the thermal press. Keep everything except the materials you're working with. Clear this area while this machine is active. And this is where you're able to create boxes that you would want to, not allow users to stick their hands into. Give them a warning. So as we see here, it says caution, keep guard in place, hot, and there's danger here. But now we have a visual representation of a 3D box. And now for the machine setup, to prep the Sonatech S3 for use, first start up the air compressor located below the machine, flip the red lever back to start the compressor. It's going to be pointing down. We've already created this. It's pointing this dotted line down right here. And you can see that we've already put the hand as well as the arrow. I do know that the machine is already on and the lever is pushed back. Next, power on the machine. So we are already in an operational state. So this device is powered on right now. As you can see, the lights are already on the device. Twist the red knob on the side of the machine counterclockwise to start pressurizing the machine. And you can see here, we have indicated that it's showing me to turn this counterclockwise. We could hear that the pressure just turned on. Check that the pressure gauge on the air compressor is at least 60 psi. Now, you may not be able to see this, but if I go down here, I could see that it is showing 60 psi right there on the pressure gauge. Check that the temperature on the machine is at least 170 degrees. Currently, we are showing 180, so we are in full operational mode. The machine is now ready for use. To engage the machine, ensure the active area is clear and push both buttons on the side of the machine at the same time. So we would just come in here, showing me exactly where the hands are, where to push in. And we've just completed the process.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Anthony.
You got it. Thank you, Chris.
If you could stay up here with the guide.
Sure.
Okay. I know that we had some things coming in the chat. I believe one of them was asking about being able to Zoom. And I'm not viewing the chat, so someone call out if I'm misinterpreting this. But Anthony, can you grab the guidance tab, the screen panel?
Yeah. So what I will say is that, if you were looking at this from a computer, you're obviously looking at a much smaller viewpoint than what I'm seeing. It is much bigger in front of me. It's the equivalent of looking at, maybe a 42-inch, 50-inch TV. Now, if I do want to bring this closer or push it farther away, because I'm completely hands-free, and this does use the gaze, I'm going to have to look up at this toolbar and then create a finger snap and pull it closer like this.
Thank you.
And hopefully you're able to read it a little bit better now, or I could push it away. Does that answer the question?
That answered the question perfectly. Thank you. There was a very interesting question about importing existing guides. So if I have step-by-step instructions and I want to import them to make them a guide, and we have seen customers doing it either through a Word document and then importing this Word document, or if that was a PDF that is possible through a Power App or AI Builder, so that it is possible that you have your guides written out already, and so taking them and bringing them into a format that it is very easy for you to directly start with guides. Yes, that's possible. Then the next question, which I want to highlight here as well from Andrew, is it possible to have any kind of links in a guide, hyperlinks or anything like that? That is possible as well. We either can have hyperlinks if you want to, for example, you're going to a machine and you have a Power BI dashboard with the newest information of that machine then next to you, and you open up that hyperlink to see that Power BI dashboard. On top of that, you also can integrate any kind of Power Apps into Guide. So I would like to add additional information. I would like to take a photo through a Power App. Anything like that, what you can think about, is possible in Guides as well. And there was another very good question about what if I accidentally skip a step? So do I get back and forth? There's one thing that we either can say through a Power App, you cannot just miss a step, you did not complete that step. So really to make sure that you are not just going through a guide with your gaze and say, okay, now I've done everything, but making sure this is a step that needs to be completed. And afterwards, then you can go on. That is one thing. The other thing is you always, that Anthony showed, you always can go with your eyes left or right. So you gaze with your eyes to the arrow to the left or to the right. So with that, you would be able to go from one step to the next. Hope that answers your
And I
question.
don't know if you are still looking at my screen, but I am going back and forth.
So we can see your screen now, yes.
There's another great question. Can I do a call, perhaps in Teams, anything like that in Guides? So with the newest functionality in Guides 7, which just has been released in December, there is a possibility, if you could just hold up your hand, Anthony, potentially to see the new, yes, and in Guides directly, there's this little phone button, and with that you can, in any step of the guide, you can initiate a one-on-one call directly with through Teams. Is it possible to have occlusion with guides and annotations? So annotations content can appear behind equipment or inside if a cover was removed or something. What we do in guides is we have the possibility to work with 3D content. That is definitely possible, so that we can have any kind of 3D object in guides, so where you want to go. I don't know, Chris, any add on to that, or?
Adrian, if possible, what I'd like to do is show the last two examples we have of a custom app, and then collect at the very end here to revisit any questions that come in.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. All right, Andrew, are you with us?
Yep, I'm here, Chris.
All right, excellent. So I'm going to let you speak to the Heatmap application.
Great. So folks, we've talked about guides and remote assist, but you can also build custom applications with the HoloLens. And this video here is kind of an example of a proof of concept we built to be able to allow users to visualize what is happening as part of a repair process that is taking place with this cobot here that you can see. And so the use case here is that there is pieces of engineering equipment, this little wing that you see here, that become damaged and potentially end up out of spec, but they are still repairable. And by writing up a separate program, they are able to use a cobot to then start grinding down this surface so that it can become back in spec and become used again. Now, you can see kind of from the video here that there is a little bit of damage on this wingtip as the robot continues to pivot it around, but it might not be super clear exactly how much damage is there. And so the cobot is able to hold up the model to be scanned. And when that scan is completed, a 3D model is generated, pushed to the Azure cloud, and then streamed down to the HoloLens. This means that a user can then take a look at the 3D model of this piece and see kind of like a heat map and have a very clear idea of the specific portions of the equipment that are out of spec and the ones that are actually in spec or in tolerance. So what we've seen at the beginning is the cobot doing its initial grinding process. Now it's holding up the wing so that it can be scanned by this scanner. When the scanner finishes this process, it will generate a 3D model that can then get streamed down to a HoloLens. And what's neat about this process is it can also allow people who are not on site to view this process and take a look at the models as the device is continually being ground down and adjusted. And then they could potentially interface and tell the cobot that it needs to continue this grinding process, or that they can visually inspect the equipment and then go ahead and state that it is back in spec and to move on to the next piece of repair. So in just a moment here, you're going to see that it's able to now hold up the model. And this was registered along with the HoloLens. So the cobot is holding it in the specific place to get a nice overlay. And this lady here is currently inspecting the process as it's taken place so far. So this is a shot from inside the headset, and you can see that we have an overlaid model on the physical equipment. And all the areas in green are basically in spec, and all the areas in red are raised, and areas in blue are lowered down. So this is an example of somebody remotely observing these same scans. And you can see that they're able to query different parts of the surface by clicking on it to get different answers as far as which parts are in spec. And they're also able to step through and see different scans as they come through. And so this is just kind of a brief example of kind of proof of concept of using the HoloLens to visualize something that might be a little bit difficult to see if you were just looking at the physical object.
Thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome.
So I think Andrew mentioned that's an example of a custom application. Previously we've looked at out-of-the-box products, remote assist and guides from Microsoft D365 Suite. The last example we'd like to share before we begin to wrap up and go back to questions and answers is an example that we had done using a laparoscope tower and streaming the video feed from that tower into the HoloLens, so this doctor has a better field of view.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Pearlstone. Today we're going to take a look at comparing a standard diagnostic laparoscopy using a standard laparoscopy tower versus doing it with the Microsoft HoloLens. So first we're going to go and take a look at a standard diagnostic laparoscopy using our simulation set here. You can see we have an excellent view of our rubber kidney inside the box here. Excellent depth of field, excellent visualization, and excellent resolution. Now let's take a look at how we can do this using the Microsoft HoloLens 2. You'll notice I now have this screen in front of me, and I can bring it very close to where I want to be. And now I'll go ahead and grab my scope. You'll notice I get the same level of depth of field, the same clarity, the same lighting, the same resolution as I had previously. I can move this screen to any location. This is actually physically considerably more comfortable to be looking down at this angle, I have to say. Or even we can go to an angle that's probably comfortable for a lot of people, which is looking up. This is just one example of how SphereGen Technologies and DICOM Director are bringing the latest breakthroughs in surgical innovation to the operating room using the Microsoft HoloLens 2.
Great, I'm going to turn it back over to Adrian and Ellen at Microsoft to talk about what's next. Adrian?
Yes, thank you. I just want to very quickly highlight that mixed reality is, well, for Microsoft, kind of a beginning. We started in 2016 with HoloLens 1. But what is everybody talking about since last Ignite conference is the Microsoft Mesh application, because what we have done is, or what we have announced is we will bring Microsoft Mesh with a Teams integration in this current calendar year. What does that mean? That means that if you're meeting here, everybody is anywhere in front of a 2D screen, and so this meeting kind of is not very inclusive. We have everybody on this call, but if I would be able to see my facial impressions, my gestures in, let's say, a sort of a world, collaboration would be so much easier. And going from just a video into an avatar world, I can use my avatar there. I can use my my reference there, my video feed there. But that is, on the longer term, as a vision, the more inclusive potential to work and collaborate together. And we have just, I think, a little video how that could look like.
Connection is a spark that gives our lives meaning. It drives us to seek out others who feel the same way.
Okay, why don't you input the data and we'll take a look together. Hey, Mari, what you got for me?
To find those who share our views, yet offer different perspectives.
So this next. Look over here.
Challenge us with new ways of seeing.
That I think we should.
Deepen our understanding. And enrich our lives.
最后一笔的时候，往前
Great things happen when we commit to something bigger than ourselves.
Take a closer look at it.
Place this here. Let's see how we go from there, okay?
This sense of collaboration and the feelings of connection it brings excites us.
Hey, just in time. I'm gonna move it slightly, okay?
It's yours, take it.
We have 2 planes right now on the same trajectory.
As we put people first, technology fades into the background and feels like anything but.
Aisha, what do you think?
I think if we had 330, maintaining 2800, we'll be clear for approach.
Excellent.
This changes the way we see the world, and in turn, changes the world we see.
These numbers are looking great, actually.
There's promise in the possibilities, and what we see and create next will stretch the imagination.
Good morning, Sarah.
Morning.
Slowly coming towards the thumb.
A world without boundaries.
Good job. A lot better than yesterday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Slowly bring the
A
arm
world
down.
where technology enhances, not limits, humanity. With people front, center, and in the spotlight. The future is here. And here can be anywhere. Introducing Microsoft Mesh.
So that concludes the webinar. I appreciate everybody who took the time to join us. Some takeaways here about how SphereGen can help efforts with HoloLens 2 and implementing mixed reality. We do work with you to help bring possible use cases and value to your business, help you build out a vision for this technology. We advise key points for success are having clear use case vision. Buy-in from other stakeholders has been key in the projects we've been a part of, and development and implementation of proof of concepts before launching into full-scale deployment. Lastly, our services do include services around remote assist and guides implementation, full custom development and application support. We are a HoloLens 2 reseller. So we really do appreciate everybody joining. If you have the time to hang on, we can field any remaining questions. Happy to do so. And of course, we'll socialize the recording of this with everybody who was able to attend. All right. Is there anything out there that I missed question-wise, or anything that anybody would like to bring up now that we've concluded?
We had a good question about measurements, especially about accuracy when you go through a manufacturing process, where I answered that we have that possibility to not only use, well, it is not included directly in guides or remote assist, but as HoloLens is able to measure the world around you, you definitely can build an app that uses it. Or if you want to go through a manufacturing process, it is an edge device. So you have the possibility to use a learning model to say this is a good outcome, and to verify it against the learning model. So that is another possibility to use it. The other question was, if I come near an object, can I pull on a guide? And so the question was around sensors. We do not need sensors for that. The great thing is that we have the possibility of anchors. So there are object anchors, which are at the moment in preview. Think about an object anchor, something like we put that anchor in the real world, and whenever I come near that object, then the right guide would be pulled up. So those kind of things are able in guides, and we can, together with Power Apps and the Power Platform, we even can go further and let's say play around. So the bigger vision there is using spatial anchors and having the right amount of data in the real world whenever you need it.
Thanks, Adrian. Yes, we have Kai who has a question, so I'm going to unmute so that way they can ask.
Sure.
There you go, Kai. If you unmute your mic, you should be good to go.
Great, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Absolutely, great. Thanks a lot for these insights. This was really fantastic. This was mainly dealing with guidance and training. If we now expand this view a little bit and really, let's say, let the HoloLens control process steps, SOP steps, as a kind of a quality control, really monitoring and following different production steps or other steps, and really, for example, giving an alert, being that smart itself when a process step was not according to the SOP, something like a third and fourth eye, or a big brother that is watching you. Is this also possible? Is the HoloLens already now so smart, or do you see this in perspective in the future? Thanks.
Sure.
So the HoloLens itself has great sensors and is definitely part of the solution. I would pull into the solution as well Power Apps, Power Platform, Power Automate. And together with that, with the sensors and with the Power Platform, we have the ability to go through these kind of steps. So think about Dynamics 365 guides being used on HoloLens, being completely first-party citizens of Power Apps and Power Platform. And with that, we have that ability to say, how do we want to control those steps? When do we want to pull on an alert, or what kind of things do we want to do around these kind of guides? And that's where all of that can come together.
And to piggyback off of that, so Kai, also to your question as well, in addition to the solutions that Adrian mentioned, you can also leverage Azure Cognitive Services as well, and use the camera from the headset to train different algorithms to be able to identify that this piece of equipment actually wasn't fitted in correctly, or you have used the wrong piece of equipment in this location, and to be able to provide that feedback to the user. And all of this can be software can be written to plug into your systems to also throw flags and to give you kind of a review and a paper trail.
Okay, thank you very much. Very, very good. Thanks.
Excellent. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask here before we wrap up? All right, looks like that'll be the end of this one. We really do appreciate everybody who participated. Yes, we certainly will share this recording out with those of you who were attending and those registered. And likewise, love to have a separate chat with you all offline if you have any questions you'd like to take and have a one-on-one on. So, whether you wanted to reach out to us or Microsoft, we're happy to be a part of those. And again, thank you everyone for joining here. Look forward to connecting again.